This time, I would like to introduce our second speaker, reintroduce Brigadier-General Hamel, to speak to us from the perspective of the Canadian Forces in the North. General Hamel's biography is in your handout, and I would highly recommend taking a few minutes to review it, as the General has had a breadth of background and a depth of experience that is worth becoming familiar with. And as such, we are honored to have him speak with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Brigadier-General Guy Hamel.
Mesdames, Messieurs, bonjour. First of all, I think the best thing is, if I may ask you to maybe just to have a seat there, because there will be some quick video and also a PowerPoint presentation. I'm a pilot by trade. I like pictures. I like colors. That will be on today. Out of the bios, what is important for you to really notice is I am on my third year in the North. My home is Yellowknife. I'm responsible for Canadian Forces activities in the three territories north of 60s. It's a large area, 4 million square kilometers, and I'm working with the three levels of parliament, of the government, federal, territorial, municipal. I work with northern partners, and I'm there for the northerners. You're going to see that within my presentation. What I would like to do is, next please. Did I control it, or you control it? Hey, thank you. What I would like to do this afternoon is give you a quick video, 7 minutes long, about what Joint Task Force North is all about. And then I will just have a quick presentation on PowerPoint, about 10 slides, where we're going to discuss more about what kind of activities there is in the North, the relationship I have on the international level, and also at within the territorial level. And then it's just we'll be open for questions with the panels. Just to reiterate, ma'am, just a few days ago, out of Yellowknife was minus 37 degrees. Like you, I was very disappointed when I showed up in Toronto to enjoy the spring and I saw snow. I feel your pain and the disappointment. On this, I would like to have the video on, please. I'm very proud that this video was done in May 2010.
Canada's North, vast, remote, and on the threshold of unprecedented change and exceptional challenges for the safety, security, and defense of Canada's northern frontier. Poised to meet those challenges is the Canadian Forces Joint Task Force North.
Next, now we'll just touch some of the activities. Here we talk about resources, natural resources, and in my, we call it the AOR, that's area of responsibility, where I should have a good awareness what is going on. Out of this, what I really want to bring up is there is an increase, and the forecast really will be an increase of activities for natural resources exploration and exploitation, which de facto will increase the potential of risk for security and safety. There will be increase of air traveling. There will be more ship will going to ports. Yes, the ice is melting in the north, but it's still a big chunk of ice still going through. And like you're going to see later on, the water is not all charter in the within the archipelago, the archipelago for the Arctic. Next. Commercial shipping is just increasing. I have to say, since 2004, the number of ships going to through those islands is increased by close by 3 times. If you wonder how many islands there is in our archipel, there is close to 19,000 islands. It's quite amazing. Next. Now, you say, what is Canadian Forces now have to be worried about the increase of natural resource exploration or the number of vessels? Because if something happened, the Canadian Forces, at the contrary, what I would say south of 60, would be one of the first one to be called upon. First for search and rescue, and after that to assist the leading agency in consequence management. I got two stories on this one, two storyline. The first one is the Clipper Adventure. Just to comment, basically, I took command in June 2010 and around the end of August. The Clipper Adventure is with about 200 tourists on board. Navigate to the Northwest Passage and then hit a big rock. And it gets stuck there. The good news is there was no environmental crisis, and also the ship was steady, and everything was tickety-boo at that point. But still, they were stuck there. They tried to remove the tide and everything else. They were, because it's summertime, we had one of our Canadian Coast Guard ship was just 1 day away from them that was on the way there. Because there was not imminent crisis, the United Forces were not called upon to assist, but we follow the situation very closely. The storyline would happen with this. Now the Canadian Coast Guard ship moved the 200 passenger out to a close community, and from there they were flown back to Edmonton and then to move along. And then the ship after that was towed and to a safe harbor. Now imagine if that ship, by the way, that day that they hit the rock was beautiful, sunny, calm, not windy, because windy would have been some rock. Everything was perfect. And the water was uncharted, and they had been there before. Now imagine if there was oil spill, if the ship began to sink. Of course, the search and rescue aspect of the Canadian Forces would have been called upon. The consequence management would be called upon. But now you think about, okay, where are we going to send, where are we going to land our aircraft to assist them? Small community. It's not Toronto Airport, far from it. Most of those small communities, if they are lucky, a 737 can land, if they are very lucky. If not, it's much smaller aircraft. And then is to provide them medical support and so on and so on. And that's the kind of thing that my team is working hard to plan and to be able to support the leading agency in those kind of crises. The second story, just about a week later, is the nanny. The nanny is the resupply. Once a year, there are 75 communities in the north, and some communities they receive the resupply once a year by ship. And this one was basically liquid petroleum, was 9 million liters of petrol, basically going to community. Again, it gets stuck. Extremely lucky, no environment challenges at that point. And then another ship about 3 days later went there and removed a couple of million of liters, and they were able to move away and to a safe harbor. Again, what is the step of the leading agency will take to meet it to that crisis, and where the Canadian Forces can do to assist? Next. The cruising ship activities. There's about 9 to 10 those ships that come to the Arctic and in the Arctic every year. And the numbers of passengers on board vary from, could be 200 to close to 1,000. And they don't need to travel in pair to have mutual support of each other. They can go and basically just go along. If something happened to them, what is their contingency plan? Where can they go if the ship can have some issues? And what is the community can do, those community can do to assist them? I didn't mention the point that those communities receive the resupply once a year. That's mean when those, let's say there is 500 of them that goes ashore, just the fact to provide them hotel, to provide them accommodation, well, you can be sure they're going to stay at the hotel at the school overnight, but all the food, the resupply aspect, yes, they will be able to be nourished, but the next consequence management of it, after that, that community will need to be resupplied. And the ship, if the ship have been gone, then it will be by airplane. And who is going to do it, and who is going to pay for those things? Next. Since 2000, I would say, we got the number here from 2004 to 2012, you can see that there is a sheer increase of those adventures, and especially since 2007, where the Northwest Passage get more open. The so what for me is more of the search and rescue aspect. They are very hard to follow where they're going. If there is a crisis and they press the magic button for the beacon, there is a time and space to react, to find them, and to provide them also search and rescue. And that's a kind of challenge I'm with. Next. Winter adventure, because we think it's just summer. No, winter. That's a new Everest. Basically, is to go to the North Pole. They go out of Resolute, or they come from the Russian side, and they come to Canada that way. Again, search and rescue aspect. Next. International activities, you've got the North Pole. This year will be North Pole 40. Basically, that's a Russian scientific ice research station. But the way that the ice is moving, they're coming in our area of my area of responsibility. If there is any crisis, then I have to be prepared to provide them search and rescue at that point. We've got also the Russian ice station Bonero that opened just on the other side of the, I would say on the Russian side of the Arctic, but that's where most adventurers start off and they go to Canada. We got some very interesting wheelers. Basically, they decide to cross from Russia to Canada during winter to go on the ice floe with those. I think that's the third or fourth attempt. They get stuck normally in the ice and they go back home. And this year they're still going for it. I think it's time to do it sooner than later, because very soon they will be out of ice. And again, it's all about search and rescue from my key aspect. Next. Regional engagement. I have the opportunity to work with, to engage especially with Joint Task Force Alaska. District 17 is the U.S. Coast Guard, where I'm doing a lot of dealing with them. Now on the Greenland aspect, it's called the Joint Arctic Command. And when I talk to my counterpart, basically we have the same issue, the same challenges. If you look at north of 60, there is not a lot of infrastructure. Communication is a challenge. Even if you go north of 70s, it's very challenging, even using satellite to communicate. That we have all those challenges, and the mutual support we can do to each other, it's very interesting. We share, we got staff officer, and also we exchange for operation exercise to have a mutual understanding our challenges, but also our capabilities. If you look at this last summer, just in the Beaufort Sea, the U.S. Coast Guard, District 17, was supporting an event for oil exploration that was called the, I forgot the name of the operation, but basically there was the oil exploration in Beaufort Sea. And I was able to send some staff. I went to visit, received a briefing. It was interesting because they operate in Beaufort Sea. In a few years' time, the potential for the same company to be on our side of the border, to do the same thing, why to learn from scratch? Why not to learn from our counterpart? That all the lessons identified they're going to receive, they're going to share with us. And same thing with Greenland. And with Norway, we got some exchange with them also. If you look at the industry aspect, we're not the leading agency, but you have to be prepared to really to support in a crisis, especially on the safety and security aspect. Next. The type of operation I'm conducting. Next, please. This is, we call it the spectrum of operation. We go from safety to defense. The Canadian Armed Forces really lead on the defense part. That's our role, right? Like we got NORAD for the aerospace defense and warning. Domain awareness, I need to have a good understanding, a good situational awareness of the 5 domains: air, maritime, land, space, and cyber. And of course, we exercise sovereignty operation. Now, if you look at the safety and security aspect, we are there to contribute. The mission I gave my formation was Joint Task Force North will exercise sovereignty operation and contribute safety, security, and defense in my area of responsibility. I say contribute because on safety and security aspect, I'm not going to be the lead agency. I'm going there to support. And I said contribute also in the defense because the remainder of the Canadian forces are there to support me. I will provide the command and control, but bulk of the equipment and the personnel will come from the south of 60 to do this. If I may touch on the consequence management aspect, if you look at safety, if I can bring you back to up Nanook 2011, when we were in Resolute Bay, and I don't know if you remember, there was a crash of the first Air 6560. We were just there at that point. And yes, we provided the first response, search and rescue. To be honest, the search was very quick because they were just about 2 kilometers from us, the rescue part. But after that is the consequence management of it. We provided accommodation, communication, transport, resupply, and we did that with our partners. Do you know that we're working with 14 different partners? That's from the three level of government for that operation. That was before even the crash. And this went very smoothly. That's one reason why we do exercise operation, is to create that link with the other department and also to create that trust that if when there is a real crisis, we know who to talk to, we know we have a better understanding of our mutual capability and capacity, and we're able to move ahead. We know what the other one has to do. And I have to say that there was a very sad situation for that crash, but I'm very proud of the way that all agencies responded together. There was not fight for who is leading what. We're all together to move forward for the Northerners and, of course, for the casualties and their family. Okay, next. I want to talk about the operation in the Arctic. And by the way, defining the Arctic is, when we talk about the North, we define it at north of 55. The Arctic is north of 60. And the high Arctic is the circular circle, which is 66.6 or 5 at that point, when I talk about that. That people think about the Canadian forces operating the Arctic is what we're doing up Nanook. Why? Because there is a lot of visibility. We have a very, very high, let's say, stakeholders coming to visit us during that period. But we're doing much more than that. We're operating 365 days a year. I'm doing more than 110 sovereignty operation exercise in the 3 territories. Arctic Chill was the name of the exercise with the American. We're doing search and rescue exercise. We're working with university, like for the polar bear studies. We're working with the RDC, the research center. We're working not just for CF activities alone. We're working with everyone to support them, to contribute to the sovereignty aspect of Canada, but also to enhance all the capability of the CF and the other Northerners, or Northern partners, I should say. And as you can see, that's within the 3 territories. By the way, just for my own understanding, how many people have been in the Arctic before? Can you raise your hand? Okay, perfect. Because sometime when I give speeches about the Arctic, I ask, how do you define Canadian North? How do you define, what do you see? And most of the time people say, well, I see snow, it's cold, Igloo, and Inuit people. That's the way they define it. But if you look at the Arctic per se, it's a big mosaic. If you look at it, there is 3 territory, there is 3 defined group of Aboriginal, really. If you look at Nunavut, there is no trees. Inuit, the Aboriginal people, is 85% of the population. There is not a lot of infrastructure, and communication is all by satellite. If you look Northwest Territory, it's 50-50, 50% Aboriginal, 50% Caucasian. There, on the infrastructure, it's a bit more robust. You got the road up to Yellowknife. After that is all you need to fly. If you look at communication, you got by microwave tower and a bit of satellite in the north. If you move to Yukon, it's 85% Caucasian background. There is a big highway, Alaska Highway, they built. They can go to Alaska or they can go to BC. Communication is cable. Now when we define the north, it's not the same. When you talk about the north, it's depending which way you go and how you deal with it. If you look at Northwest Territory, do you know there is 11 different languages, official languages for that territory? 11. When I deal with the Nunavut, I have to, the letters I sign, I send some letters in Inuktitut. The only thing I understand is my name. Because now I recognize the way the Inuktitut, they write my name. That's the only thing. But again, what I'm saying here is, when you operate in the north, you have to know in which area you're dealing with and how to be respectful to their own culture and tradition of the people you're working with. It's all that aspect of the kind of forces who are working together with the community. Okay, next, please. Partnership and relationship, which come back to this now. Like I said, I deal with the 3 levels of government. Twice a year, I'm a co-chair with Public Safety Canada of this called the Arctic Security Working Groups, where there is about 85 folks, close to 85 folks there. I got people from the federal level, all from different departments, territorial, of course, especially on the Emergency Management Organization. RCMP are within the 3 territory, and the RCMP officers are not there as really as a federal agent, but more as a provincial police. That's the way they're organized there. And if you look at the Coast Guard, I got guests from Alaska. I got the U.S. Coast Guard coming up. I got also the Joint Task Force Alaska, and coming again. It's a platform where we can exchange and foresee what kind of activities coming in the north, what is the challenges, to have a clear understanding on the way ahead. And for them to give them also the opportunity to exchange some idea. And of course, that's a discussion point really. What I wanted to do within just 15 minutes is to raise the level of appetite about what the Canadian Forces is doing in the north. And really the key point here is we're there to contribute safety and security, and of course defense, and you cannot do it by yourself. I try to make as many friends I can at all levels. If you look at Natural Resources Canada, they operate out of Resolute more than 50 years now. They know where's the local cache, where the airfield, and we're talking about airfield, we're talking about gravel or ice, where to go, the micro weather, to have a better understanding of it. Why should I create everything? I borrow with them, because if there is a crisis, we're going to respond all together anyway. And I will say that would be about the same thing with the industry. I had the pleasure to visit one of the mines in Northwest Territory, Divik, which was about 500 kilometers northeast of Yellowknife. I went there as an observer. The person who was there really was the EMO, the Emergency Management Organization, out of Northwest Territory. Public Safety Canada went, and I went. To have a better understanding what it's all about. I was very impressed, by the way. Very impressed with it. They have a beautiful airfield, all light up. Aircraft 737 can land. That's a big aircraft, cargo aircraft. Accommodation, the food they have, it's great, but always the security aspect. That if you look, if there is a crisis in that area, and I was saying that there is not a lot of infrastructure, maybe it's one of the points I can call upon and ask for help, assistance. Of course, I will do it via Public Safety Canada and without the territory, but maybe I can use the airfield as a base to at least land the aircraft and from there launch the search and rescue aspect if I need to do it from land, or to refuel, or to accommodate, or to provide maybe the first level of medical, first evacuation before we evacuate south. And also there is some aspect also from them to understand what is their plan if there is a contingency. And they're very well organized, I know that, and I know they're dealing also from mine to mine, mutual support, even though they're not the same company. They do understand that during winter, at -40 or even colder, there's not a lot of given. And we need to have a mutual support in all aspects. Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm looking forward for the question. Thank you.